Welcome to the space where creators have aligned a positive and intellectual collab of open minds. For sharing and learning from one another, it's a vibe. ReadswithRosa podcast on the mic. Subscribe, educators spitting bars. I guess you didn't know I'm multifaceted and humble, taking off life goals. The classroom is my comfort zone where I plant and sow seeds of knowledge, compassion, empathy, and hope. Reading is the key to unlocking your potential. Countless benefits, including cognitive and mental. Regardless of the genre, books are highly influential. Go get yours, I'll get mine. Making strides, monumental. Come rock with me and get down to this new jam. Out with my friends, I had a very simple plan. Educate the masses through books and life lessons. It's the grand slam. I'm out. Talafalava, whakalofalahi atu, kia ora ana. Welcome to the Reads with Rosa podcast. I'm really excited to introduce today's guest. He is Cook Islander, Niuean, and Samoan. He's passionate about music and dance. He's a hardcore New Zealand Warriors fan.
Yeah.
And more importantly, he is an athlete who made his debut at the Tokyo Paralympics. It's such an honor to welcome to the show, Benza Tuimaseve.
Yeah, thank you very much, sis. Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
I had to throw in the Warriors there because I figure you're quite happy with the recent result against the Dolphins.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Especially after that loss to your team, eh?
Especially after the loss to the Broncos, did you say?
Broncos, yeah, man. That was sore. That one hurt, man.
I was like, I guess this guy's not going to reply to my email, huh? Okay, we're good. Now, bro, like I said, it's such an honor to have you here on the show. You know, it means a lot. I know people are super busy, like yourself, but thank you for being here. Now, I've given the pretty much, standard podcast introduction for the guests, but I would like to give you an opportunity to do the Benza, the actual Benza self-introduction, because I'm sure you could do a way better job than me, bro.
I don't know, sis. Like I said, I'm pretty uncomfortable talking about myself, but I'm not gonna lie, this is the first time I've had to do the Benza intro, so let's give it a go. But
let's go.
Yeah. Hey fam, my name is Benza Tuimaseve. I am Samoan, Cook Island, and Niuean, and I have a disability called Cerebral Palsy, and I do like to rip disabled people as well as my family wherever I go. But avid supporter of the New Zealand Warriors. I love New Zealand music, and I love to dance on a dance floor like no one is watching, and that's where I transcend dimension. Where I forget where I am. So that's cool. That's us.
Oh, very good. Yes, that was great. Fantastic. That is a 10 out of 10. Well done.
Thank you.
So you did send me some notes, and said, hey, this is kind of what I this is who I am, this is what I like to do, this is what I'm passionate about. But what caught my eye was the dancing part. And you said that's how you actually came onto the New Zealand scene, like music scene. So I'm so curious. I was like, I don't know if he's joking or if he's for real. Like, can you tell us a little bit about that?
So like in high school, around 2004 maybe, I started to get a feel for New Zealand music. Like, I'm very attracted to this, and I would just go to gigs religiously. Like every weekend, I would go to a New Zealand music gig, and then I found out we got dope DJs. Like everyone plays tasty music, and because I like dancing, I would always just dance when, like at the beginning of the night before everyone has a drink and stuff. Like, that's how I preferred it, because there was space on the room. There was no one there like stopping you from moving. And I would just dance because one, I loved it, and I couldn't fight the music when it's playing. So I would like to show. I just went and danced, and I guess I did that for, I reckon, a good 10 years. Where people I don't know who gave me the name, but someone called me the Rugcutter. Like the Rugcutter,
the Rugcutter.
Yeah, the Rugcutter. So it was and I've dabbled in music, but I danced way more than I had rapped, and that's how I became known as the Rugcutters, just by going to every gig and being the first and the last one off the dance floor. Yeah.
Educate us, because when we talk about disabilities, there's visible and invisible disabilities, right? That's
Correct,
the thing.
yes.
Some people don't even know. So tell us what it's like for you as a youngster, growing up.
Um. So yeah, I've got cerebral palsy and it's hemiplegia. So one side of my body is affected by a stroke that I had at birth, and that just means
Mm,
that the body doesn't receive messages from the brain as fast as most people, or if at all. Like the message might
mm,
not come at all. So it's just like yeah, sending a text and someone gets it delayed. It's kind of like that.
mm,
But I guess growing up for me, I was the only one. I was the only one with a disability, and
mm,
I guess just for the record, there's varying degrees of disabilities, right? And
right.
I'm on the mild side, but it was enough. It's enough to like, I guess, change how I have to approach life in some ways. And
Mm,
being a child and the only one with a disability in my family and in my school life, I guess the hardest part was just feeling alone in regards to not relating to anyone on that
mm.
in that sense. So yeah, that's what.
Yeah, because you mentioned in your introduction, you love to champion the stories of folks with disabilities, right? You
Mm.
proudly represent, and you're a champion for others like yourself. So at what point uh did you become comfortable to,
Ooh,
not so much comfortable, but brave enough to talk about it at a point, like you said, it's difficult to
yeah.
kind of like fit in, but then at what point of your, at what age were you like, what, yeah, so what? I'm gonna speak on this. I'm gonna champion these stories like mine. Yeah.
um, when did that happen? Honestly, it's probably within the last 10 yeah, less than 10 years. I'd say 6 years before. Yeah, it was when I decided to do para athletics. That's when the
Mm,
game changed for me, and that's like when you put it into perspective of lifespan. That's a
mm,
long time to be like acknowledge it and be like, oh shit, I need to excuse my language. I need to do something
mm,
about it, And yeah, it just came to a point where it's like, damn, I do need to do it, but I need to do it on my own accord. And yeah, that's when I just one day I decided to like acknowledge my disability enough to go to a disability like outfit who helps people with disabilities in sport.
mm,
And once I went there, I found Shopper, and I kind of haven't
mm,
looked back since. So yeah, that's when it started, and it was only probably 6 years ago, as I can honestly start that I was like, okay, yeah. And within the last 3 years,
mm,
since yeah, is when I've been like, yeah, I will. I feel comfortable enough to represent for disabled people. Yeah.
mm. What do you wish people, uh, able-bodied people knew or better understood about living with cerebral palsy or just living with a disability?
Yeah, I think it's just that they if they could just take the time, just like anyone, to take the time
Mm,
to understand them a bit more, because I guess in the whole rat race of life,
mm,
people don't have time, so it's just like, oh, this person's got a disability, and like it felt like an inconvenience, that
mm,
we're inconveniences to people. So yeah, and I understand that too, but I just hope that they understand that oh shucks, life is hard for these people in some way, but in saying that they have something within them to find ways, and it's just I guess coming with a collaborative mindset to be like, to hear them out for a bit, yeah, for a second, to understand how they work, and realize that they are no less human than you are.
From your perspective and experiences, do you think that our Pacifica communities are educated enough or at least embrace folks with disabilities, or do you think that there is just a stigma there?
I think the stigma is still very much there, but I think
Mm,
it's unless you have it within your own backyard, you're not really going to fully understand it. It's just one of
mm,
those things, yeah. And I think people acknowledge disability a bit more these days, but I still think there's a little bit of stigma around that, and it just takes people constant reminders to remind everyone that we're kind of here. So
yeah, and
yeah,
and about that, right? About that, like having a voice or having representation.
yeah.
When you think about your own life, or at least in the community spaces that you are a part of, What would you like to see in terms of representation for for our folks with disabilities? What would you like to see more of?
Um, I think see more of I guess I would compare it to like how we want more brown people in spaces.
Mm,
It's kind of like that. It's I would like people with disabilities in more spaces because from my short experience of disabled people
mm,
and going on that journey that they do have the skills. They do have the
mm,
skills. It may take them a bit slower to make a cup of tea or something like that, but it's they definitely still have the skills because yeah, their body doesn't work how it wants to, but their minds and their brains still are very much like able-bodied people, so to speak. Yeah.
mm. You work in the music spaces. I mean, you are a role model to other young folks, our youth. And what is that experience like for you? Not just as a musician and artist, or someone who loves poetry, not just
Mhm.
as a rapper, but also with the disability. Do people want to know more about your story? Do young people want to hear, or do they just see you as like, yo, there's Benza, he's dropping bars and okay, I can't rap, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I think it's more the latter. Like off the
yeah,
bat, they're like, "Oh, Benza, he can rap and stuff like that."
okay,
But
it's the man.
it's because, yeah, it's because I now I like I lead with I have a disability, so they're
Mm,
like, "Oh, what's that?" And it's cool that my peers around me, um, they acknowledge that as well. So if I introduce myself like that, they will add on to a conversation and say, "Do you guys know what um Ben's disability is?" And then they'll ask me to elaborate on it.
mm,
So whether they want to know about it, I'm not too sure. But my whole this is a bit off topic, but my whole like saying "seize up" and "crips," that's sort of my way of getting to talk to the younger people about it,
mm-hmm,
and it's kind of worked. I've kind of liked
mm,
it. So it's the whole my whole thing around it is change it from the inside in because I guess the word "crips" which is mostly being related to a bandana and a gang. To
mm,
these young people, they know it the word. So when I say I'm Crips because I got a disability, and that was a word outdated word used for
yeah.
cripple, which meant disability. They're like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then we start having a conversation that way, and
Mm.
and so yeah, it's just I guess using their language to collaborate on a constructive conversation. Yeah, yeah,
Man, let's talk about this journey because you've kind of alluded to it. Let's and
yeah.
and I've you're passionate about sports. Man, where do we begin? Where do we begin? Let's talk about how sports has changed your life. I guess that's where we
Oh,
start.
yeah. Off the bat, sports in regards to shot put,
Mm,
because it's such a solo sport,
mm,
it has forced me to think about myself a lot more because it's
mm,
I don't know if selfish is the correct term to use, but you have to think about yourself and make decisions based on what you need and want
mm,
for you to have any chance of being a champion in shot put, because it all is all about you. So I guess that has changed my life in that perspective where yeah, I have to think about myself a lot more, and I've only really fully grasped that concept in the probably last 8 months.
mm,
Yeah, and because before it was we done everything in numbers, like as Pacific Island people, we
mm,
don't do much things alone. It's
mm,
always family orientated, community orientated through church, youth, and stuff like that. So there's always numbers, and then when it's like, oh, this is about you, I struggled with that for a long time. So that would be the first one, and the second one is just way healthier.
mm.
I guess physically is one. Yeah, I've lost I think 55 kgs is what I lost,
Wow,
and
congrats.
thank you very much. It was hard, but and then mentally, in the last 6 months, I started therapy, and yeah, the mental, like my heart and my mind are now walking
Mm,
alongside each other and not just conflicting, going back and forth all the time, which it
mm,
used to. So that's two main ways, and the third way is just becoming more comfortable in your skin in regards to having a disability and owning it,
mm.
and that you do not lose anything as a human by acknowledging that. Yeah.
So, what I wanted to ask is like how you got into Paralympics. What I mean is like, at what point did you decide I'm going to trial? Because I'm assuming everyone has to trial to get a spot. Like, how did you like what was the light bulb moment? Did you
Oh,
just wake
son.
up one day and go, oh yeah, I think I'm gonna like train for the Paralympics?
Yeah,
I
so
like
oh man, I'll try and cut a long story short, but I went and played disability rugby league, and
ah,
I went overseas and I played in a Australian competition, and I snapped my ankle, but it was my right
mm,
ankle. It was my right ankle, which is my good side, and damn, that put me out, and that was the end of that journey. And then uh, I once I came back from injury, I was like, I'm I'm curious about this journey, like of sport, and
mm,
so I wanted to continue it, and I went back to Athletics New Zealand, and I said, I'd like to come back and have a try, to try and crack the top level, so to speak. And then yes, our coach took me on, and then and then we just worked from there, and then I slowly started to be like, okay, I committed to myself. The only thing I knew was that okay, I'm not going to give up. The goal is to make the Paralympics, and that's the only thing I knew was that I wasn't going to give up. And yeah, and then I never looked back. I never looked back from that. That's yeah,
You're just like,
yeah,
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 that was it. That's pretty
yeah,
much the story, Man, like, what's
yeah.
the training and exercise regime? I mean, I imagine that must have been like tough. Like, what was this?
Yeah,
As an islander,
yeah,
you know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah. Well, yeah, it's
The food.
yeah, the food is the hardest part, eh? But I guess when you start to train and slowly start to commit to training a bit more, you're like, oh
Mm,
wow, our unfortunately our relationship with food may not be the best route.
mm.
We can eat a lot, but just not the foods we're used to, eh? So um, yeah, I guess that was a quick transition in regards to the training and seeing how your diet really affects the training. So
Mm.
that was that. But also being a thrower, it's not too strict in like diet. It's just don't be
Mm.
stupid diet, eh? Don't be stupid. Yeah. So that was that. But the training we train 6 days a week.
Oh.
And with I guess disabled people, I was like, oh, it's you do have to train like an able-bodied person, and your coaches, yeah, they train you like able-bodied people, yeah, which is cool. That's
Yeah,
yeah.
so because you were talking about there's one side which is your stronger side,
Mhm.
and then the other side. So how did you manage that? Because you are, like you mentioned, you are being trained like able-bodied people, which is
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah, it
But
is.
then
Yeah,
how do you deal with that being someone who has cerebral palsy?
yeah. Honestly, I'm still dealing with that. And that's what it exposed to me is that I am so right side dominant, one
Mm,
side dominant that I totally neglected my left side. So I'm still navigating it, but it's how I excuse me, how we approached it was that we have to train the left side as well. So if I lift the
right.
dumbbell with my right side, I have to lift the dumbbell with my left side. It's not going to be as much weight, but it's to it's to just get the left side used to working how more than it's ever done before. Yeah, so what 25 years of not really acknowledging my left side and then suddenly
Mm.
have to focus on using it. Yeah, it's been a trip and it's still coming, I guess, finding its way, but yeah, that's how we do it. It's just whatever we do with our right side, we do with our left side. Yeah. Yeah. And
Man,
it's a
so
laugh at times. Yeah, you laugh. It's laugh like it's funny. If you were to watch it, like if you
mm.
were to ever watch it on me and see my left side, you would just, I reckon you'd start cracking up laughing. Yeah, yeah,
Man. So
you would
have
start.
you, in terms of like movement and things,
Yeah.
since you started this journey, like have you noticed changes? Like obviously your health, you mentioned, you've lost a lot of weight,
Mhm.
you're eating healthy, you're more healthy now. But in terms of movement on the left side, have you noticed like dramatic changes, or is it really mentally is where you've got to find that balance.
I wouldn't say dramatically, but I would
Mm.
say a little bit, yeah, a bit more than what I'm used to before. And it's yeah, it's more in the brain, eh? It's
Mm.
like trying to really focus on mind body connection. And I guess, yeah, I would easily get frustrated. So that was my problem. Like my left side wouldn't do anything, and I would just like almost give up on it straight away. But until you have to flip the script and say it is not going to be anywhere near your right side, right? So you just have to take the small wins where it comes. So, oh, I can actually lift stuff with my left side and that. But it's
Mm.
when you have to do things together is when I fall apart. Like, I mean,
Man.
it's when I have to do it. Yeah, when I have to do coordination, my coordination is like worse than a 3-year-old child. So it's yeah, it's fun and games, but yeah, dramatically I wouldn't say, but yes,
Mm.
I do notice small changes in what I do in everyday life. Yeah.
That's solid as so they make the announcement and you make the team. Oh
hmm
my gosh, your family, your loved ones must have been stoked.
Yeah, they were very happy for me. Yeah, my mom cried and
Oh.
my dad cried. Yeah, which was cool. And yeah, it was a very proud moment in my life. I think
Mm.
of making that team. More for me, in regards to not giving up, to be like, shit, yeah, you did. You went all the way. You committed and you got there. So that was, yeah, definitely something, one for the books. Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
solid, bro.
yeah,
So I need to talk about Tokyo.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, we can't talk about this journey without mentioning being in Tokyo. Was this your first time in Japan?
Yes, it was. Yeah, and
Oh,
it was bittersweet because it was COVID. Eh?
oh yeah.
And yeah, yeah,
Let me
we.
tell you, I didn't know that many people here were kind of like, by the time the Olympics actually happened,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it happened, it was meant to be 2020 and then COVID hit. By the
yeah, yeah,
time it actually happened, I didn't know that there was a lot of public interest. I mean, there was, of course, it's a
yeah,
big country, but
yeah,
I
yeah.
think by that time people were kind of like, oh, are we there yet? Oh, did the Olympics happen? Kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's yeah, that was I think that was the whole worldwide mindset
mm,
around it. But it was, yeah, it was bittersweet in that we couldn't go anywhere, right?
mm,
We couldn't go anywhere. And it was, think, for that reason, like we literally could just go to train and go back to our hotel.
mm.
And and the only Japan we saw was when we were driving to training. Yeah.
Oh
And
man,
it was the same thing every day. So it was just like
you're
you
like,
saw,
oh,
yeah,
that
yeah.
car again. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
that's it. Yeah, you saw the same 5 kilometers every day.
Mm.
Yeah. So
So
that's,
did
yeah, I saw 5 kilometers of Japan.
so did you mentioned, so your team stayed in a hotel, you didn't get to stay in like the Olympic Village or get that experience or even visit that?
No, we did a pre-camp in Saga. We did a
Mm,
pre-camp in Saga, and then we went to the Olympic villages. Like I went a bit earlier,
yeah.
but yeah, we were only there for like a week before we competed. Yeah, most of the
Okay,
team.
what
Yeah.
was your experience like in the Olympic Village?
Um. Oh, that was amazing. Yeah, that was amazing. That they built a little village, like purposely for that. And it was
Mm,
like, oh, it's like you feel like the Sims, like
yeah.
a city was created for you, right? And
Mm,
that was cool. And seeing those driverless buses, that was
mm,
but the biggest thing for me was seeing the range of disabilities. Like
mm,
that was cool. And seeing um Fiji, they were
mm,
there.
mm.
That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
cool seeing them, and just the whole spectrum of disabilities all in one space. That was the most amazing part to me, because I hadn't really seen it before, and I also felt like I'm not disabled enough compared to the people that I saw in
Mm,
the Paralympic Village. So it
mm.
was, yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy.
But like you say, it's such a wide spectrum. And
Yeah.
that's the thing that people, there's not enough education around that because
hmm
there's just this one, I have this image of what a disabled person is or what a
Correct.
disability looks like. But it's such a wide spectrum, right? There's
Yeah.
some people, there's visible, there's invisible disabilities,
Yep.
so man, so you guys were, okay. Around the time that the Olympics was happening on social media, there was a lot of people talking about the cardboard beds and stuff like that.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
was wondering if you got that experience.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, they were
Yeah,
they were the
like
cardboard
for
beds.
real
Yeah.
though, what was it like?
Oh, the cardboard beds. Yeah, they were pretty comfortable.
Oh, really?
With that they were knowing that they were cardboard. Yeah, like
Yeah.
the mattress wasn't special, but like
Mm.
to me, I just respected the design. Like, oh, they actually
Oh.
built something we could sleep on out of cardboard. And I think David Litty, he actually jumped on it. Yeah, he
Wee.
actually jumped on. Yeah, and it held his weight. So
Oh.
that's
Yeah, I had
yeah,
to ask. I was
yeah,
curious
yeah,
because
yeah,
there was all this
yeah,
talk about it, right?
yeah,
And people were like athletes were showing, oh, this is what's happening at the Olympic Village. This is,
yeah.
you had access to all this food and all that kind of stuff. I was like, I
Oh, the
gotta ask
food,
about the
yeah.
beds. Like,
Yeah, the beds was crazy. Like the design was like, oh wow, yeah, you
mm.
can sleep on a bed made out of cardboard. Yeah, that's me. That's me. Yeah.
Are you do you have plans to when's the next Paralympics? Is it France 2024? Maybe?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
24.
I mean,
Yeah.
is that something that you're again working towards, or are you at that point where you're like, I've achieved this, I'm good. Like, what's your
No, I deep down inside, I would regret if I didn't try to make Paris.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know how fragile my body is and if it'll hold up, but I'm 100% committed to trying and like so the wheels fall off. Literally, like I'm already para A, so if the
yeah.
wheels do fall off, like nothing's lost. Like nothing's
Oh
lost,
man.
so might as well. And yeah, after Tokyo,
Mm,
I was like, man, I want to make an international final, and then
mm.
if I make a final, then a medal is possible. Yeah, once you make a final, so that's the
So
whole mindset around it. Yeah,
that's exciting, bro. So are
yeah.
you like, have you been like what I mean is Tokyo finished and did training continue in regards to shot put, or are you currently training? Like,
Oh, okay, yeah. So after Tokyo, we had a little break, but nah,
mm,
it's pretty much straight back into it. And it's the am I still training? Yes, but I've got an internship with Te Karanga Trust, so
oh yes.
I'm just sorting that out, and then probably in a month's time I'll be back to full time training. Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah, and
That's
it's
so
yeah,
cool. I'm excited. Like, this is
yeah. Thank
great.
you.
So
Yeah,
you could be heading back over there, or that's the
yeah.
goal. That's
That is the goal is to nut out a plan to find the best way to approach this goal, and
mm.
yeah, and then we'll try and hit that plan, and hopefully all goes well. Yeah.
Are you someone that's driven, do you think? Or is that just over the past few years where you've realized, you know what? Nothing's going to stop me. I can do
Um.
anything.
Yeah. Mm, I think I felt like doing things for myself, like I alluded to before, that doing things
Mm,
for myself, it felt narcissistic to me.
mm,
So just getting that concept of, oh shucks, I do have things I want to do for myself, and they're very simple, they're very basic, but this is one of them. Like after being in the sport for 4 years, I'm just like, man, I want to have one last crack, and I don't know about can do anything, but
mm.
I feel like this particular goal is within reach of trying. Yeah. So
I want to ask about the New Zealand Warriors.
yes.
On
Oh,
a scale of 1 to 10, how hardcore of a fan are you?
I would say I'm a 8 because I
Oh,
don't. I would say a 8 because I don't buy jerseys. I don't buy. I can't afford the gear, so I'll take a few points off for not being able to afford the gear. Like yeah, and I don't go to the self stand anymore to like stand in the rain. So to be like, yeah, I'm Hearty Warriors because I stand in the rain, you know. Yeah, so I would say I would take a few. I would say I'm an 8. I would say I'm an 8. Yeah.
hey, if there's anyone who's got access to the Warriors, man, this is
Yes.
Benza right here,
Oh,
like
yo,
number one fan of the Warriors. Come on,
yeah.
man, hook a brother up. Come
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
man.
Hard out, please. Yeah. If you see this, yeah, if you want to tick that diversity box in regards to
Yeah, for
disability,
real.
yeah, I'm your man. Like, I'll be keen.
Access and
Yeah, yeah,
representation right
yeah,
here
yeah.
for the bro. Come
Representation and
on.
be like, yeah, tick a box of diversity. Yeah, hit me up, hit me up.
They're currently sitting at number 7 on the ladder. I just
Oh
checked. I
yeah,
actually just
yeah.
checked
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I
before I
saw
came
that.
on. I
Yeah,
thought, oh, he'll be. I was gonna tease you a little bit and be like, oh, they're not actually in the top 8, but I
oh, yeah,
take that back because they are
yep,
currently sitting at number 7. How are you
yeah.
thinking? How are you feeling about the season so far?
Oh man, like this is by far the best season, and
It's been a while, eh?
yeah, and it's been a while,
Yeah.
since this has happened, and yeah, I feel good. Like it's nice to see them doing well, but it's like
Mm,
they're yeah, something starting to click within the team and the
mm.
culture, and it's just real good. But yeah. It's like my life is like a warrior's journey. Like it's just you may not be the best at times, but you just never start. You just never die like that dude in the movies. You just never dies. They like, oh, that dude's still alive. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to laugh too much because I'm a Broncos fan and I've
yeah.
cried quite a few
Oh,
seasons now.
have
So
you got
I
over
feel
that?
like that's a whole nother story and
Yeah, like that grand
scars
final. Have you been a Broncos fan
for a
for a
long
while?
time. And don't
Oh,
talk about that grand final. Stop it right now. You're talking about 2015, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Cowboys, right? So let me tell you, I was in Japan.
Oh
We
yeah,
we went and watched it. I cried,
yeah.
and then I may have gotten intoxicated, and then woke up the next day and just cried some more, and then maybe a few days later, I thought I was over it, except my brother and people on Twitter just continued to
Rub it in.
quietly tease
Yeah.
me. So am I over that? I don't think I ever will be over that, but I am
Yeah,
Broncos
yeah,
hard. So
yeah. That's
I
the
know
one.
what it's like because you're
Yeah,
a
yeah,
Warriors. I mean, I feel like, well,
yeah.
we could, we're
We got
walking side
yeah,
by
yeah.
side there, like.
That, yeah. I think Broncos are just above us. See, just
No,
above.
actually, yeah, we are above
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
we're number 1 at the moment, but I don't want to jinx it. We're top of the table, but
Oh!
you know, like, let me tell. Okay, let me
All
just
right.
tell you what's really funny. I had my mate from Christchurch. He was
Yeah.
on the show, like, oh man, maybe probably around this time last year. Actually, probably around it was nearing like the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
But I was laughing. He's hardcore Warriors.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was laughing my head off, mocking him about the Warriors. And then do you know what happened in the next few weeks? Basically, the Broncos just continued to lose.
Yeah.
And then so I decided today I'm not gonna do that same thing and jinx it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All I will say is yes, we are currently sitting above you on the table.
Nice. Yeah, must be
Nicely
nice.
at the top of the
Must be nice.
table, but let's not get excited about
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
I've
yeah.
learned my lesson. So
Yeah, that's it. It's a long season, eh? It's a long season.
it's a very long season when you're a Warriors and a Broncos fan. So
Definitely. Well, there is the Tigers, so yeah, it's a longer. Yeah.
oh
Well,
my gosh.
yeah, yeah.
My friend he's like hardcore Tigers, and I've seen some. First, it was real quiet on Twitter. Then there was a bit of excitement, bit of ruffles there, and then suddenly, oh, he's going hard tweeting again. I'm like, I'm so happy for you, bro. But
That's not
again,
Sam, is it? That's not Sam.
and then-
Oh,
shout out to
Bishop,
the
hey.
Bishop.
Shout out to Bishop. Shout out to Bishop.
yes, Bishop. Honestly,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, I see you, but I'm just gonna stay quiet because I am a Broncos fan and I know exactly what it's like to get too excited.
Yeah, that
And
is
then
true.
next minute, yeah. It's tough. It's
Yeah,
tough
it's
being a
bad.
Warriors, and a Tigers fan, apparently.
Yeah,
So
that's it. Yo, we're all in the same boat. So that's
we're
good.
all in the
Yeah.
same gang, apparently. So, so you mentioned earlier. So let's go back to music here. You were a part-time art. You dabble in music here. I don't know. Is dabble the word?
Yeah,
But you got bars. You got bars. You do some writing, and
yeah.
you share that art and craft with young folks. So, tell us about your love for music, more so New Zealand music.
New Zealand music, yeah, like just I'll lead with Lady Six,
Ooh,
Quarter, Rizvan, and Tom Scott. That'll be my like goats of New Zealand music, and yeah, it
okay.
just I don't know, like Lady Six was Quarter, sorry, they were my
Mm,
once I heard them like in 2004, like when I was like third or fourth form, I
mm,
was like, oh, what is this? And then I slowly started to hear more New Zealand artists, and then just our sound of it's very earthy to me, and that was like, oh, I felt that earthiness, and I I got addicted to all of it. To the point where I would go to everyone's show, and that Cora and Lady Six knew that I was their biggest fan at one point in time,
Oh.
and yeah, I went to all the shows, and the love. I think I just loved the that it was very earthy, and that they had no limit. I think in their mind they were willing to accept. So that was cool. Yeah.
So, how would you describe that love that you have for New Zealand music? If I said describe it in 5 words, what would you say?
Oh,
Yeah.
I would say, maybe 6. Well, yeah, the personification of a umuput. That's what it is to me. And I don't know if you get the analogy, but yeah, like you know how we love umus and hangis. Yeah, that how we love that feeling and that taste. That's probably the best way I could put it. It's the personification of that. Yeah.
Yo, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry if that's anticlimactic answer to you.
No,
Yeah.
no. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I hear you. I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
You know, who or what music, I know, you're a rapper, but you know, like I'm sure you're many other things. What kind of music or musical genre moves your soul? Because you're also an artist, you write as well. So what moves your soul?
Yeah, it would be New Zealand music first. I think blues music second, and then just and then it would be definitely soul music. Yeah, which and I use soul music because that's a way to it's a broad spectrum, but yeah, like soul music. Yes, the singing, like the whole singing is probably what hits my soul the most. Yeah.
Do you write often? What I mean is, do you have a notebook? Do you write on do you have notes on your phone, on your laptop? Like, is it something that you do quite often, or is it just when you're kind of in the mood that you're like, okay, let me just write something down?
No, I do write quite often. I write every day. At least 8 bars. Just to know that I've done 8 bars, because I don't know if you know my story, but every night I post 4 bars.
4 bars, yes,
Yeah, 4 bars before
When
bed.
I do get online, I see that and I'm
Yeah,
like, I gotta ask Benza, what is this
yeah.
about? Like, where does that? Yeah, tell us about the 4 bars posting every night.
That's that would just be the answer to your question in regards to writing every day. It was just a way to create a habit of writing every day. Yeah, of writing every day, and I guess and showing people the process, being a part of the whole 10,000 hours as the artist, so to speak. Yeah, like just seeing that, like not every bar is gonna be amazing, but you have to accept it for what it is. And that's that just with consistency of writing every day. I think you will come to find the feeling that you're looking for, or have a better chance of expressing the feeling that is inside of you. Yeah, so that's the whole thing around it.
Yeah, do you have a favorite rappers outside? I know you love New Zealand music. Outside of New Zealand music, do you have any other MCs that you kind of like? You like their whole vibe and style and the way that they rap?
Probably on Andre 3000 from Outkast would be one. I think J. Cole would be another one, and the third one, who would I pick? And then just Tupac. Yeah, would be Tupac. So
You're part of the Navigators initiative. Can you speak a little bit about that? I know I had Rizvan on the show a while back, and he also talked about just the importance of this work, with our young folks, with our young people. So can you talk about your experience with the Navigators initiative, and that, I mean, how cool is it? It's not just you, there's other like people like North City Rizzy, like there's other talented Māori and Pasifika folks like yourself. who are
Yep.
just there uplifting and guiding, mentoring these
The
amazing, talented young folks. Like, tell us
mm,
about that.
the Navigators program. Yeah, I think it's amazing. It's like a connect group. You know how they have youth groups at church and
Right.
stuff like that. It's like a
Mm,
connect group for creatives to like sort of just come as you are, and then we
mm,
train alongside each other in regards to creativity. And I think having that space on a regular basis um, for young people to come is pretty cool. I think, yeah, for them to know
mm,
that they have a home away from home if they need it. That's dedicated to one being creative, but also to talanoa about all things life, whatever that may look
mm,
like on the day. So I think it's me yeah, so sometimes I'm a bit we're not professionals in dealing with I guess emotion, but it feels very raw and organic, and I think we have collaboratively created a safe space
mm,
for these young people and with them as well. Like they have taught us more than we taught them. So we teach them.
mm.
So it's cool. Just intergenerational, I guess, learning. Yeah. So that's and I think just conversations are a important part of creating actions that need to be had for each individual.
Mm. I love seeing. I know there's several of you always, posting and putting it on stories and just really putting it on blast on social media. I love the
Yeah.
work that the Navigators team are doing. I love it. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Like you said, what's important is creating that safe space. And I didn't know that, like sometimes it's seeing someone who looks like you, talking to someone who sounds like you, who comes from a similar background. Sometimes that's where that trust and building relationships, it's more powerful and empowering, right? As a
Yeah.
like I know you were like, we're not necessarily trained, but I don't want that to like take away from the work, the valuable work that the team is doing. Like, I think it's fantastic. So
Yeah.
just
Oh,
keep going.
thanks.
It's
Yeah.
awesome, Like, absolutely love it.
Oh, it's so mean because our team is so diverse. See, like
Mm,
we have, I think we all have common values, and we can all display and express those values as each individuals, which is cool because a person may not connect with your answer, but there's million different versions of the same answer within the team, and you
mm,
would just hope that one connects with them. So that's real cool. And it's yeah, like I said, you Rizzy and Spew, TK and Siosha and
mm.
all of them, they're on me. So it's real cool to learn from them and work alongside them. Yeah.
Mm. Um, I want to ask about a poem that you posted on your Instagram, on your social media.
Yeah.
It's called "I Was Self-Raised, but Self-Conflicted," and
Mhm.
it's the self-conflicted that I want to ask about.
Yeah.
It's quite a long poem. So self-conflicted. By the way, folks, I will have Benza's information in the bio. So gotta connect with the bro, follow his
Yeah.
journey, follow his music, his craft, all of that. Follow. Click on it in the bio. But back to this self-raised but self-conflicted. Self-conflicted. There's quite a lot you have to say about that. Can
Yep.
you get us started on
Yeah.
your thoughts around that? Self-conflicted.
Yeah. I guess I'll start with a little bit of context around the poem.
Mm-hmm.
So I started therapy at the start of this year. Started going to therapy, and I started to piece together this poem, so to speak, as I started to go through that journey. So I started to write it bit by bit, and knowing that I was raised in South Auckland, but there was a conflict within myself that I was battling with for a very long time. So that's where it started. And I don't know whether you have questions about what that self conflict was. Is that what you're sort of where you're
Yeah,
heading?
I'm
Or yeah,
wondering, like, is it at different I mentioned this in another interview. Is it different timestamps of your life? Is that where the self conflict comes from, or is it really a core part of your upbringing that you are referring to?
I think it was the self conflict came from me being um like obviously different from the rest in regards to having a disability and
Mm,
not knowing and being the oldest of seven kids, being the oldest and not having someone to look up to, so to speak, for guidance, that I was conflicted, like, damn, one, who am I? Or two, am I enough for the society? So I I really didn't take the time to learn my own language, so I could speak it well, and that was only became apparent within the last I guess few years, that damn, I have been neglecting my own self and my language because I one, I didn't believe it ultimately, and
mm,
two, I just found it hard to I felt like I constantly had to prove it to other people that I am of value, because I was seen as
mm,
an inconvenience to other people, and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the whole self conflict, that I I couldn't speak my own language. Like,
mm,
I like to look at the moon and the stars, but no one likes to do that, in South Auckland when
mm,
you're a kid. So, and being from a very alpha dominated family, yeah,
mm.
I struggled with that part too. So sorry,
Yeah.
you were gonna say something.
No, thank you for mentioning that as you're talking, because this is the last part where you say, I took the time to learn my own language, which you've just said. I
Yeah,
neglected for so long so my voice could speak without breaking in hesitation. I
yeah,
finally broke up with perfectionism, which allows one to be human. Like Big Boy and 3000, I found the beauty in being an outcast. And that inner child holds the gems more than hurt. And ultimately, I turned the page to start a new chapter after being stuck on the same one for years.
yep,
Like there's
yeah,
so much hope in the ending. When I started reading it, like I keep going back, going, okay, whoa, that's deep. Oh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I was like trying to read it and trying to understand. When
yeah,
I got to the end, I was just like, it's just interesting to hear you like talk about that. And I
yeah,
was just like, oh,
yeah. That's cool. It was
like,
hard to condense all of it, like, to all into, like, yeah, a few words, but I think I
mm.
did, from the response that I got from it and from you picking up on it, that it did create enough substance, I guess,
Oh,
to do well.
absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, no one can like everyone has their path that they take. Everyone
Yeah.
has their own respective and individual journeys. So to see it from your perspective, or not to see, but to try and get a feeling or at least a bit of an understanding of what part of your journey has been, it's a real eye opener. And I
Yeah.
was actually just wondering, like, do you think that do you often I know you said you write a lot, and I was wondering, do you have a collection of poems that you've written over the years, or at least the past few years, that you might publish? Because to
Yeah.
share your perspective, to share your worldview and your voice. I don't know.
Yeah. Like, I do, yeah. Everything I write, like, I've been writing for years, but
Mm,
I just put it in a box, eh? Like, one,
mm,
because of the whole poem, I didn't believe in it, and I guess it's just like a more, that would be my legacy. Like, if I was to die, open that box and see who I was, like, and then you can
mm,
I guess you can see it for yourself, and make I guess, yeah, assumptions and whatever. You can be creative and thinking about how I was based on the writing. But do I, yeah,
mm,
I hope to publish some, but I think, the whole, I haven't actually studied as a poem, and it's just like, oh, do I have the skill to do that, or do I want to be skilled? But I do have a very I think, good raw thing. If I just spit it from the heart, I think
mm,
that's it has proven to be enough to connect with people. So I might do. It's definitely on the maybe to do list. So yeah, hopefully.
That's cool as bro. That's really cool to hear. And just so you know that I've had uh, other writers on here who are not academically trained,
Yeah,
but there's just something about their writing that just moves you away. Like,
yeah,
and so just so you know, it's
yeah.
it's okay. There are people out there who have been published, and just it's amazing. It just
That's
like lets us into a part of who they are, and you have that talent as well, like that skill. So
that's cool. Thank you very much. I'll yeah, learning to accept compliments. So yeah, thank you very much.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
don't try and fight me, eh?
Yeah, yeah,
Stop
yeah, yeah. No, no,
it. Like, hey,
I
that's
would
how the fight
usually, yeah,
starts. Stop
yeah,
it.
yeah, straight up. So, yeah, that's cool. I'll think about it. But yeah, like we were just having those conversations with Rizvan and the team. Like,
Mm,
just put it out, man. Like, yeah, it's better to be put out raw and unfinished than stuck in a box. Hey, so
mm.
yeah, that's so yeah, we'll do that.
Okay, so you're a bit of you're part. You got you got Niuean blood, Cook Island blood, Samoan blood in you. I
Yeah,
mean, how do you how in what ways are you able to connect to those different parts of your identity and culture? Like
yeah,
in terms of like, yeah, I don't know, like how. Because I'm nothing special. I'm just Samoan. I'm sorry.
yeah,
I'm like 100%. So, I'm always curious about people who come on the show and they're like
yeah.
they got so many parts to them, and I'm like, how was that for you growing up with a bit of this and
Oh,
that? Were you more
that's
to one side or
yeah. I was more to one side because my parents split up when I was younger. So I grew up predominantly with my mum's side, which is the Niuean and Cook Island side. Um,
mm,
but the whole journey, I guess, has been a trip. I have felt disconnected to all of it, like the whole not Samoan enough or not Niuean enough
mm,
because I can't speak the language and stuff like that. But I have found that I love the hymns and I love our behaviors of service and stuff like that. So I have been feeling that stuff and I have taken that stuff on board to yeah, how I represent when I walk out into the world is based on our identity as a culture of Samoan, Cook Island, and Niuean. It's without speaking the language.
mm,
So I don't know. I do have a want to learn the languages, but I am not caught up on having to achieve that to achieve a standard of being enough. Yeah. So
mm. Yeah, a lot of people have come on the show share that not feeling, especially when they're like half Samoan or not
yeah,
feeling like at what point do you feel Samoan enough, or do you feel
yeah.
Tongan enough, or do you feel Kukat? Like it's just a whole. There's just so many layers to one's
There is. Yeah,
identity, and like it's such a journey. So
yeah,
wherever that journey takes you, I hope that you can find solace and just find those parts that make you you, and however long it takes or however slow, however fast or slow the process is, so be it, at your pace. And
Oh, thank
mm,
you. Oh, yeah. I appreciate the support because that's
mm,
yeah, like I said, it's very hard at times when people constantly tell you that you're not enough. So,
mm,
because you can't speak. Can you speak yourself or?
mhm,
Oh, cool. That's been
yeah.
fluent, like
I mean, like my parents, when we grew up, we only spoke English at school.
yeah,
So Samoan in the home, like all the time. I appreciate it. At the time, I was kind of really not. I didn't really understand. Like we could only speak something at home and then another thing at school. Like it was really
mm,
now being older, I understand and I really appreciate it. So
yeah,
I definitely don't take it for granted. I think, and I wouldn't change it any other way. And
yeah,
I think I was just lucky to be surrounded by, my dad's brothers and sisters, and church community. We had a lot in the area that we lived. So, being going to church and being involved in, cultural stuff there and the spiritual side of things, I think that really also helped to build our language. And I also understand that not everyone has access to that, not, everyone has that journey and story to tell when it
yeah,
comes to, how connected they are to the homeland or to their language or to their heritage. So yeah, I'm grateful. I definitely my brothers are more like now, especially living away, not being in community like physically, but obviously with technology you can access many different things if you want to learn more Samoan. Like for me here, there's a Samoan community, so whenever I meet up with them, I just speak Samoan, like, or I will just switch off, no English, and just speak Samoan. I think I'm always proud that we have a lot of Samoan scholarship students here. So every time we meet up, I always test myself if I can keep up a conversation with them, and I feel good because I'm like, yo, I still, like it's hard when you're away from home, but So that was a very long answer.
No, that's
but...
cool. Like my thing of that whole language thing is like I don't know if I'll learn the language because I think I understand the intent of our mother tongue and our stories and our mana and everything that I can display that and express that in Palangi, but I can connect to Palangis as well because it's a language they understand, so I can bring them to our side of the table by using their language, but still respecting our own. It's just not using our mother tongue, so to speak. So I was just like, do you understand that approach? I guess because that's how I approach it, right? Is that
Well, I think I think that sorry to interrupt you. I think it's a personal journey. I think that everyone makes their choice. You do what you got to do for you. Like you do, like, and whether or not later on you pick it up or not. Like I feel like when it comes, identity and culture and language, it's such a complex issue, and it's so funny because we always talk about it. Seems so easy when we talk about it, but it's very complex. There's so many layers to it, and a lot of the time there's trauma, there's history, there's all this other stuff that is at the bottom of it's all this internalized stuff, right? Like it's for real. Like that's the thing. It's not as easy just saying go learn the language. Like it really is. There's a whole lot of internalized stuff, and part of that is because we grew up in the diaspora.
Yeah,
that's another issue in itself.
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
saying
another
it's an
conversation.
excuse. That's a whole nother conversation. So as you've explained, that's what you do. That's what you when you're in those spaces, that's part of your journey. That's part of your that you just got to do what you got to do. Self-care, bro. You've talked about exercising, eating healthy. Therapy has really helped you. What are some other things? You do a lot of writing. Other things that you do.
Writing what? Like nature. Nature's probably a big thing. Just going for walks. Even I guess trying to get used to the whole city, like trying to make that sort of feel like some sort of nature because we're surrounded by it. So try and find, I guess, nature like beauties and buildings and stuff like that. So just but nature and walking with my headphones or driving, going for drives of no destination. That's probably another one too. It obviously depends how full the gas tank is, but it's
so expensive in New Zealand. Oh my gosh!
10 bucks doesn't get you down your driveway. Yes,
everything.
But there's a lots of ways, and I guess I think feeling connected to people by connecting with people is probably the biggest part, so you don't feel too alone in the world.
Do you find that you ever have to disconnect from social media? Like, do you go through those phases, or is it's actually a positive thing for you?
I think more so now it's a positive thing where it's like a drug, like it used to be a drug where it controlled me, but now I can control it, so I'm in control of the drug. So and because I'm so interested in humanity, whether you come from the bottom of the barrel or you're at the top of the hierarchy, it's all interesting to me. Just those, like, the world is a library and the people are the books. I'm interested in all of those books to see how they end up in the spaces they are without judgment. Because I'm no one to judge. But yeah, it's just interesting to me. So I've also flipped it in that sense. One, I can control the drug, and two, that humanity just interests me. So I just look at it and be like, oh, okay, cool, and then move on without overthinking it too much as to this is bad for me, my health. It's just like, oh, I actually learned something from watching someone's story that they dislike something or like something. So it's like, oh, okay, that's cool. We're all different, eh? So.
Probably a lot of people will watch this, and especially those who don't know you, they will probably Google search you. So, Google will tell us part of your story, right? They'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, Paralympian, oh yeah,
Yeah.
navigator.
Yeah.
What's something that people don't know about you that is you can't even find on Google?
Ooh, that's you got me there, sis. Damn, bit lost for words, but what's
Yes,
something?
finally got you.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Oh, what's something that people don't? Yeah, is that I guess I love rom-coms and like
Oh.
stories about like movies about love. I guess it's those are I like to watch, like The Notebook or Love Actually or
Oh.
P.S. I Love You or something like that. Yeah, that's probably
Okay.
something most people don't know. Or 50 First Dates is my favorite one. So
Okay, well, you heard it here, folks. You heard it
you
here
got
on the
me. You
Reads
got
with
me.
Rosa podcast. You can't even
Yeah,
Google that. It is out
you
here.
can't. Yeah, you
The
can't.
bro
Yeah,
who
that is
loves
exclusive.
rom-coms.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong.
No.
Exclusive drop. There is no shame in that. That's all I gotta say, bro.
Oh,
We
thank
need
you.
more
Yeah.
brothers up here going, I love to read rom-coms. I love to watch, bro. No shame, man.
Yeah, I can say that without
Solid.
shame now. Yeah, that I love 50 First Dates. Yeah, it's a great movie.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you have any book recommendations, or is there anything that you kind of want to plug and put out there?
You mean plug in regards to books or yeah?
Yeah, is there something that you
No. Now I'm not really a reader, sis. I've tried
Mhm.
to. I guess I can only say that the books I've actually read are The Shack. I don't know if you've read that one. He goes to the
The
woods and
Shack.
meets I guess God and the three versions of God, the Holy Trinity. So I've read that
Ah.
one, and The Notebook I've read, and those are probably the only two books I can say I've honestly read within the last 5 years.
Yeah, so you're still a reader. You just have to
Yeah.
find other books that interest you. Yeah, there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. I can't believe you read The Notebook. I haven't
Yeah.
read The Notebook. I just watched the movie.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. The
Are
book.
there differences with the movie and the and the book?
I think it's more just the depth of language of the artist's style of writing. Yeah, just more depth. Yeah. So in the book, yeah. But I'm still trying to find. Maybe you can answer this. When I read novels or books, I struggle with visualizing what I read.
Yeah.
So it puts me off. They just read as words to me. And I'm just trying to find ways to, I guess, connect with the reading to, I guess, people. Yeah, like people have these amazing imaginations that when they read, they get taken to that place. And
Well,
I assume that's why you love reading, is because it takes you to a certain place. Yeah.
yeah, okay, so two things. Do you read graphic novels? Do you like to read comics, graphic novels, that kind of stuff?
Um,
Not
I
so much.
like if I was to give an answer to that, I would probably read biographies because it's about a human, right? You don't have to
So you like
create.
memoirs and biographies, autobiographies, that kind
Oh
of stuff.
yeah, I don't know if that would be preference because it's about a
Mm.
person. But in saying that, I don't read much of those either. But yeah, just maybe if you have
Okay.
tips on how to connect, yeah.
Audiobook.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so here's the thing. Like, I really, yeah, I have to listen. Sometimes if I'm struggling, I love to read memoirs or biographies.
Yep.
But more so, I love to listen to them because
Oh,
I tell you, like, I don't know. Oh my God, this is my book recommendation. Every time I got to recommend a book. Are you a
okay.
fan of Trevor Noah?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Oh, okay, right. I love Trevor Noah. Like,
Okay.
absolutely 200% love him. And he's so funny. Like, he's so funny to me. So you have to read his book. Now, here's the thing. You have to listen to his book, actually. And if you want to read the book and listen, I've done that too. But I recommend that you listen to the audiobook because he is hilarious. He talks about his mum, the relationship with his mum. Like it's his memoir. He talks about his grandma. But there's just something about audiobooks, especially biographies and memoirs, biographies and memoirs. There's just
Yeah.
something about listening to the author of the book read their life story.
Oh,
It,
so they
it
actually
helps you
read it? They actually read it?
yeah, so Trevor, well, not all people, but most
Oh,
of the memoirs
that's
I've
me.
read,
That's cool.
yeah, bro, for
Yeah,
real, most of the
yeah.
memoirs I've read is read by the author. So Trevor Noah, oh my god, Trevor Noah. Another really good one is Viola Davis. Do you
Oh, yeah,
know?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, if you love her as an actress, like, oh my god. I think I cried when I listened to her audiobook. But back to Trevor, like
Yeah.
seriously, there's so many good ones. And if you love sports, there's memoirs, read by the athletes. It's honestly, it's just listening to the audio, like reading it on the book. It's like, okay, yeah, sometimes I can visualize, but listening to the audio and then hearing them, it's the expression. It's just more intimate.
Oh, okay.
That emotion, the underlying emotion that you sometimes cannot read on the pages.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
When you hear it, oh my god, I know I'm going on and on about this, but I
No,
tell
that's
you,
cool.
audiobooks will change your life. And I recommend you to listen to the first one would be Trevor Noah, because you will laugh, you'll probably want to cry, and you'll just be like, man, it's hilarious. You just gotta hear reading it off the pages was funny, but hearing it was a whole nother. So I recommend
Ah,
that, and then let me know
yeah, okay.
how it goes.
My last question off the back of that would be, what's the app you would recommend to use?
Okay, so for free, I would say download the Libby app,
Libby?
Libby. It's a
Yep.
free app, and you can connect it to the Auckland City Library, or
Oh,
you
cool.
might even be. I connect to the Auckland City Library, but I think you can connect to any local libraries, like in out South Auckland.
Yeah.
But basically, from there you can loan books for free, so you can create a free online card,
Yeah.
so they'll
Oh,
get your
okay.
number. Yeah, bro, I wasn't paying for anything. Trust me, I'm not paying for this. Like it's all free. And I actually got onto this during COVID, like the pandemic.
Yeah.
So you can get ebooks on there, you can get audiobooks. So you'll be able to find that. And then if the book is not available, it will tell you, okay, you're in the waiting line, and there are 10 copies and you're the fifth person in line. So it's like that. And actually it sounds like 17 weeks. I don't want to wait 17 weeks, but it actually goes really fast because
Yeah.
books are being returned all the time. So I really recommend that too. I'll send you the
Oh.
link. So
Oh, yes,
Libby
please.
app, yeah, and you can read it on your phone. If you have an iPad, you can also read on your computer, whatever. It's so
Yeah.
cool.
Okay. Yeah, I just
Um,
want to. I'm interested into the audiobooks, because I can
yeah,
listen to podcasts. So yeah,
yeah.
I would. Yeah,
So
that's cool.
recommend it
Sweet.
200%. Trevor Noah,
Yeah.
read his book listen to his book first. You won't
Okay.
regret it.
Yeah. As long as there's a free version, I'm keen. Yeah.
It's a free version. Benza doesn't know this, but if
Yeah.
you recall, uh, a little while ago in the podcast when Benza was talking about, being Cook Islander and Niuean and Samoan, at that time that he was talking, you may not have seen the anxiety I was feeling because there was an earthquake in the middle of him talking.
Oh.
So you
Oh,
were
for.
talking. So
Oh.
that's what's up, audience. No, I'm just saying. So Benza's talking, and I was
Oh.
sitting here like smiling, trying to nod my head, like, "Yep, don't
Damn.
panic." Don't panic. Let this not be a big earthquake where suddenly I have to hide under the table. But we're all good. We're all good. It's just a
But
little
there's
slight
like,
tremor.
that's normal, eh? Like you used to have like a
It's
thousand.
normal.
Like you used to have 1,000 a day or something like that, eh? Like
It's
something high
normal.
number. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how many a day, but it's so funny when you're
Yeah.
talking. I was like, keep a straight face, smile,
Oh,
nod your head.
that's
Don't
gangster.
let it be
Yeah.
known that there's an earthquake. My bad.
Oh,
Anyways,
wow, that's amazing. Damn.
is there anything you want to plug? Any projects, like community things that you're part of? Anything you want to like put on blast before we wrap up the show?
No, not particularly, but yeah, if you're, I guess, if you want a space for young creatives or young humans to yeah, just be a part of community and have something to go to in the Monday nights, follow Te Karanga Trust for their programs that they do, and yeah, just follow Paralympics, I would say. Paralympics and World Para Athletics, I would say to follow just to get a little scope and taste of people with disabilities. So that's the only things I'll plug here.
So all those links will be in the bio, fam. Check it out, get connected. This is all about educating ourselves, being better, knowing what to say and what not to say, as you've seen in this podcast. So it's all about learning and being better. And just it's about representation. It's about amplifying voices for all, and not just able-bodied folks.
Yeah.
Not just cisgender folks, So, we're at the part of the show, bro. Oh man, Benza, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show. Like, it's really opened up my thinking. It really has. Like, I've really taken a lot away from Aotearoa. It's such an honor to have you on the show, just to like pick your brain. And I know this is not even all of your story, but just the fact that you were like, hey, yeah, sure, sis, I'll come on and share a little bit about myself. Like, it means a lot. I really want to wish you all the best, as you embark on this continued journey
Yep.
with Paralympics New Zealand. I look forward to following that. Love what you're doing out there. Keep keeping on. Keep, just keep being that voice of hope and beacon of hope. For people with disabilities, others like yourself, and just keep educating us, bro, because
Yeah.
that's the only way we'll know what we're doing wrong. Thank you so much. Much aloha and blessings to you and your family.
Thank you for the opportunity. For calling us up that you want to have us on the show, and I guess for your intent of sharing some of our people's stories. So yeah, thank you for that. How far it reaches, that's not really the point, right? It's just that you tried. So that's cool, and thanks for that. I guess love for our people that you just want to get our people out there. So that's cool. Thank you.
Final gem, words of wisdom, or do you want to drop like a freestyle?
No
I'm just
way.
kidding. No pressure,
Yeah.
no pressure. But final words.
Yeah, well, the final words would probably be difference is the challenge, but it's ultimately the blessing, eh?